I don't think our revenue numbers for nutrition, even in like the slowest of times, have ever dipped below 7 to 8 grand a month. Right? It's really awesome. To be honest, we don't even talk about nutrition for their first 6 weeks. Their first 6 weeks, we say, make sure you're drinking water. Here's a list of some protein that we want to be eating. Here are some easier ways to get in protein, because everyone knows they need to eat protein. They need to not eat as much processed food. Like, we all know that. But the overwhelm is very real for people. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see gyms still do is they have such a low entry offer. Still seeing a lot of people, your first 2 weeks is only $19. Okay, by that logic, your gym is $38 a month.
Right. Welcome to Gym World Worldwide. I'm your host, Mateo Lopez, and welcome. We are here today yet again for another week's worth of gym knowledge, of gym world, of gym worlding. And today I'm joined, very special guest. We have Clark Hibbs of Yellow Rose Fitness out in Houston, Texas, a very small town over there, a little out of the way place that no one's ever heard of.
If you blink, you miss it.
Yes. And today we've got a lot of things we're going to discuss. Today we're going to talk about onboarding. We're going to talk about what to do once you get a new member and how to make sure you keep them. And then we're going to talk a little bit about nutrition as well, if we have some time, because Clark has some experience, let's just say, to put it lightly. So before we get into it, Clark, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. It's a nice, beautiful day here. We're going to get our first taste of fall this evening. So excited about a little 50-degree morning tomorrow. But yeah, everything's good. Vibes are high at the gym. It's fantastic.
What's fall like in Houston?
Like 50 degrees. Super nice.
Great.
It's also maybe winter. Who knows?
Right. Well, I guess to ease our way into this, in your own words, for people who don't know, tell us a little bit about Yellow Rose Fitness.
Yeah, for sure. So in November, so that's a couple days away now, we'll turn 9 years old. So we've been in the gym we've had Yellow Rose since 2016.
Congratulations. Yes. Almost at that 10-year mark.
Almost at the decade right there, almost at the decade. And I left the gym that I was managing to start Yellow Rose, and it was great. Things were awesome. We grew and grew and grew until 2020. And then, the great reset happened with all of our gyms. We made some changes structurally. I had twin daughters. Well, my wife had twin daughters. I was just there as a support system.
You were involved.
I was involved a little bit.
You were in the mix.
I was in the mix. And so from 2021, I had to very quickly be like, how can I stop coaching 120 classes a month and doing 20 personal training sessions a week as well? So I had to really build up the team now. And over the past 4 or 5 years, that's what we've been doing, is just building that team. 4 years, really, just building that team and trying to remove me from the day-to-day as much as possible, which has more or less been taken care of now. Instead of doing 120 classes a month and 20 sessions a week, I'm doing 2 sessions a week, and even then I don't need to. So and I'm not coaching any classes, just getting to work on the business, helping look at the data, figuring out where we're going to steer this ship, and then trust my team to do it all. Yellow Rose has been really, really cool. It's been a breath of fresh air for me, being in the fitness industry for as long as I have been. I've been in it for 17 years, and we started it just basically out of a place of annoyance. Really, got kind of tired of all the gyms having this crazy gym culture and really poor messaging and really just inaccessibility for people. And so we wanted to build a brand, build a culture that was like, hey, I don't care if you've worked out for 10 years or you've never worked out in your entire life. This is a good spot for you. We have coaches that are going to care for you and treat you like a human, not just a number. We're going to check in with you. We're going to hold you accountable, and really just think how can we put that customer first in their experience, and build systems and procedures that are going to help us do that.
So speaking of customer service and a high touch experience there, tell us a little bit about your onboarding. What do you think makes it so unique?
I think what makes it unique is we I don't want to use the word pester, but like we are the angel on their shoulders for their first 90 days that they're in the gym. So we get them signed up for, if they're a brand new person, we get them into either a 3-week on-ramp program or a 6-week on-ramp program. And I can talk a little bit more about those in a little bit, but for their first 90 days, we are checking in with them. For the first 30 days, we're checking in every 7 days. For the next 30 days, we're checking in every 14, or then the next 60 days, we're checking in every 14 days. So they're getting a ton of touch points, and not just from one person, and they're not automated. They're getting manual touch points from real humans, texts, emails, calls, to make sure that they know that we are invested in them. And then after those 90 days, we keep up that same, rigor as far as checking in with our members. If you go 7 days without, being here, we check in with you. If you go 14 days without being here, we send you an email and we give you a call, and we want to make sure that you are coming back for whatever reason, or we can help you solve whatever problem is currently the obstacle. Right. And yeah, so back to the onboarding thing, the high touch point, whenever we first get them, that's the main thing. Like I used to work at an Anytime Fitness, and the whole goal was sign them up and never talk to them, because we don't want to remind them that their $49.99 is getting hit each month. But with us, like, it's a lot of money. Like, Yellow Rose is objectively expensive, and we need to make sure that people are seeing that value and feeling that care that we are striving to do. So I think that's one of the really, really important things when onboarding is like showing them that you care, that this isn't just a plug and play. Like, you're going to be done here in 6 weeks. Like we tell people whenever they're signing up with us, like, yeah, you'll see results in 6 to 12 weeks probably, but our goal here is to have you here for as long as you live in this neighborhood.
And I think I maybe skipped over. So what's the model here? It's a mix of group class and personal training, a little nutrition.
Yeah, so we do personal training and group classes as their onboarding things. So we have a 3-week program where the first week is 3 personal training sessions, and the second and third week are group classes. So they'll learn their little foundations for the first 3, and then in the second and third weeks they do their group classes. They experiment with the schedule, they check in with other coaches, all that. At the end of those 3 weeks, they do a 4th personal training session where we do a retest from week 1. We, do the whole thing where we check in with like, hey, were there any movements over the past 2 weeks that you might have had some problems with? We solve those for them. And at the end of that session, we decide, okay, what's going to be the right membership for you moving forward? Is it going to be personal training, semi-private training, or just group classes? That's our 3-week option. It works really well. We call it our class fast track because it's designed to get them into classes as fast as possible, right? And then we have a 6-week program called the 6-week Enhance. And this is what we designed basically around someone who has never worked out before, or they're just really, really scared of a gym in general, and they just need a little bit more. They need an enhanced curriculum. So for their first 2 weeks, they'll actually do 6 personal training sessions. So 3 one week, 3 another week. Then over the next 4 weeks, they'll do 1 personal training session. And then we try to get them into 2 to 3 group classes as well. So kind of get them into this mindset of I do personal training and group fitness. And at the end of those 6 weeks, we do it in their 10th session. We do a retest. We, do all the high fives and, oh, this is amazing. And then we figure out what's going to be the right membership for them. And at the end of that 6 weeks, it's very common for them to go, group was cool, but I just want to do personal training. Or, yeah, the hybrid thing was awesome, but for my budget, group is going to be best for us. Or they want to experiment and dabble with our semi-private training program. And so there's a lot of different ways to do it, but it is all very high touch point in those first 3 to 6 weeks for sure.
It sounds like there's a lot of touch points. It sounds like you're really holding their hand through it. How do you make the new members feel good, like they're being coached, like they're being guided through this journey without overloading your coaches with all these different touch points?
Yeah. So, we definitely kind of, I don't want to use the word like a machine or anything like that, but we give them, they have their scripts and they have their touch points, and we do it. And it's, one of my coaches can check in with 20 people in an hour, and that's great. That's easy enough. And then we also say, like, we try to have one coach take that on-ramper, take that new person and be their primary point of contact for those 3 to 6 weeks, right? And when they do that, it just helps them be like, okay, this is my person for the next 3 to 6 weeks. That's it. I'm responsible for this person. I go from there. And we have a team of 25 plus coaches right now, so we can spread it around as much as we need to. If someone's feeling overloaded, that's where our client success manager comes in and puts a stop on their new intake, and we put them to the next person, and we see how schedules fit and all that. So our coaches have not expressed any overwhelm, which has been cool. They definitely let me know whenever things are not where they want it to be. So the fact there hasn't been overwhelm about our check-ins and onboarding has been really cool. It's a good system for us.
So then what are you tracking, and like how are you making sure that, I guess, yeah, what are all the steps to make sure that, all right, they get texted after this first class, they get a follow-up a week later, like what are the touch points here?
Yeah, so we definitely look at we're always looking on a monthly basis, like what is our length of engagement, like across the board, like what's our length of engagement for our youth program? What is it for our Legends program? What is it for our ladies only program? Like what is our length of engagement? Just for, this conversation purposes, we'll just look at group fitness. We have found, our length of engagement is around 30 to 32 months right now, which is really good. I mean, it's above industry average, I believe. And we looked at not only the data element of like, hey, how would I want to, or like, how many touch points are we actually looking at? What can be automated? What can be manually done? But also like, how would I feel on the receiving end of that? Because we've all been bombarded with way too much before. Like you sign up for something and then all of a sudden at the end of the day, you've gotten 17 text messages. Like nobody wants that. So we had to take this sort of approach of how are we going to check in with them, let them know, but not overwhelm or annoy, right? And so we look at open rates for our emails for sure. Like if we do a email check-in, like, are we seeing it open, right? Like, and that's been nice to see that through Kilo. We know text messages are usually going to be open no matter what, but what kind of responses are we getting from text message? Are we actually getting a response from this message? We have certain messages in our automated campaigns that get a lot of response, and we have certain ones that don't get much response at all. So the ones that don't get much response, that's where my operations manager, Tiffany, she goes, hey, I want to change the wording here and see if we can get more responses. Because at the end of the day, like conversations are what keep people coming to the gym, right? Or conversations are what get people into the gym. So if your messages aren't getting responses, then you're missing out on conversations. And when you miss out on conversations, you're missing out on conversions. More
conversations lead to more conversions. And that also goes for your actual clients. Every month you have to resell them, so you're always closing them as well. And so I guess what parts are you automating? And then what parts do you think, we really shouldn't automate this part. This really should be a task that the coach needs to do and reach out in a more unique way?
Yeah, the first 90 days, it's all manual, right? Like it is very much because we know like if someone lasts with us for their 90 days, they're probably going to hit that length of engagement, right? But if they quit before the 90 days, like they're gone, period, right? And so we put a lot of weight on their first 90 days, and like that's a human job. We don't want to automate that. But what we have done, which has been really, really great for everything else, is like you and I both know when we get an automated message, but they're like trying to act like they're a human, right? What has really helped us increase our conversations and then their ergo conversions has been putting a little tag at the end of each text message or each email that's saying like, hey, this was automated, but if you respond, a real human will respond to you.
Oh, nice.
Right. And so like, it might be like hey, this is Yellow Rose, quick check-in. How's it going? First name. And then underneath that, it'll say that was automated, but a real human will respond if you do. And then
interesting.
And then we bring the banner down and just say like, no, that was automated, right? Like we're not trying to trick you, but we do want to have these conversations with you. And since doing that, especially with our text messages, we have gotten way, way more responses on almost all of our automated messaging, especially those that happen after that 90-day mark.
And what is the content of this first 90 days? Is it really just like checking in after the sessions? Is it educational? So it's like here's what to expect on the next, like you're probably feeling sore here, so here's what to expect after this part. Or is it a mix of both? What's the actual meat and potatoes of the stuff you're sending out?
Yeah, it's a mix of both. We definitely work on predicting where they're going to be in their life cycle of this stuff. Like, hey, you're probably going to be pretty sore. Like, that's normal. Here's what to do if you're sore. And like, boom, there's a little video like, here's 4 stretches you can do at your desk at work to help with your leg soreness because we did 50 air squats in that last workout or something like that. There's also a lot of like acknowledging where they are in the journey. Like, hey, we just reached day 21. Like, that is awesome, but this is where things start to get hard, right? We like to acknowledge that this is hard because it makes them feel better about doing hard things because it is hard. And then B, it keeps them from, second guessing themselves, or it keeps them from being like, oh my gosh, I should feel so much fitter, or I should be doing so much more. Like, no, it's all good. Like, this is hard. You just getting through the front door is the best thing you can be doing right now. So trying to acknowledge that, kind of tapering their expectations a little bit, right? Like, it's funny, this whole, like, the gym culture that we try to establish is like very low expectations, right? We're a low expectation for fitness environment. Like, we just want you to get there. And as long as you've gotten there, like, you're good. You're good.
And if the first 90 days is a lot of manual follow-up, how do you scale this?
Yeah. So we scale it by adding more CSMs, by adding more client success managers, by adding more humans. Like, right now we have essentially 3 CSMs that are doing all this. And right now we haven't had any crazy months where we haven't been able to handle that. But if we get to the point where we're unable to reach our daily touch points, we'd say like, hey, we're looking at our touch points on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, which gives us, a 2 to 4 day wiggle room just in case. Like, we can taper, or we can customize that, 7-day email to be like, hey, this was day 9, how you feeling, sort of thing. But it really is just at this point, the human element is how we scale it.
Well, I just think that a lot of owners are still so hesitant to hire that front desk person or that CSM or they're trying to duct tape it together with some part-time hours, not justify the cost. Cause I think it's justified, obviously, but how do you make it work with the business?
So one thing that was a huge mindset shift for me was I kept waiting for people, and I'd be like, ooh, I like you. I want to work with you. Let me try and build a role around you. I stopped doing that, and I started building the roles and just finding the right person for that, right? Instead of, kind of doing it backwards. And then that way as well, we were in a situation where we had people like they had these Frankenstein roles. Like, they were part-time CSM, but also trainer, but this and that. And it was really muddy. So by making it really, really clear and being like, these are your CSM duties. They are done on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This is how you do it. Here's the playbook. Like, do you understand this? Do you want to do this? And do you have the capacity to do it? If they checked all those boxes, great. There you go. And so that's been extraordinarily helpful. And I cannot recommend, like, these first 90 days are so important, right? They're so important for everyone. If someone's with you for 90 days, they have more or less, they've more or less bought into where they're going to be with you unless something extraordinary happens. Like, they move or they get severely injured, which is usually not at your gym anyway. It happens somewhere else. And then, so like, investing in that first 90 days almost guarantees you your length of engagement. And if our length of engagement with an average cost per member at 220 is 30 months, like, that's a lot of money. So we can happily invest that into more touch points for the first 90 days coming from an actual human.
So we talked about PT and then the group class element. We've talked about checking in. You have spent a fair amount of time as a nutrition coach. So how does nutrition factor into this part of the new member journey?
Carefully, because I think one of the problems that a lot of gym owners and coaches in general will do is they look for this massive 180 lifestyle shift as soon as someone gets in, right? They're like, here we go. We're training 4 days a week. Here's your meal plan. You're going to be in our nutrition challenge. You're going to do this and blah, 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 blah. And nutrition is it is so scientific, yet so emotional in its nature, right? Like, you can't just, like, it takes some real coaching. It takes some real connection with people. It takes some real honesty and vulnerability on the part of the client to say, like, I am actually ready for this, or I am not ready for this. And I think too often people want to believe that they're ready for a nutrition lifestyle change. And so they say, yes, let's do it. Let's go. But at the end of the day, they're still not ready to, or they don't understand the amount of eating that their job requires from an entertainment standpoint. Like, we're in the oil and gas industry here, obviously. Like, there's a lot of like, hey, I have to go wine and dine these clients. So we're going to this steakhouse and this and blah, blah, blah. Like, that makes nutrition really, really difficult. And also, if you've got someone that's just coming in to work out with you for the first time, that's already a tremendous lifestyle shift for them, right? It's crazy. So to be honest, we don't even talk about nutrition for their first 6 weeks. Their first 6 weeks, we say, make sure you're drinking water. Here's a list of some protein that we want to be eating. Here are some easier ways to get in protein, because everyone knows they need to eat protein. They need to not eat as much processed food. Like, we all know that. But whenever, like, the overwhelm is very real for people. And so we want to try and not overwhelm them. So we have a touch point at the 90-day mark whenever we do a strategy session. Some people might know them as goal reviews. We call them strategy sessions, where we say, hey, like, how are you feeling after these 90 days, right? Are you ready to unlock some more progress? Let's talk to you about our nutrition coaching program, right? We also have some automations in the 180-day mark, in the 270, basically every 90 days, essentially every 90 days that they're with us, we bring up nutrition again. In our internal content, in my weekly emails and everything, I talk about nutrition often, just so that way people know, like, whenever they're ready, whenever they feel like they can do it, we are the first people that they think of. But we definitely do not force it on people. We rarely recommend it to new people unless they're like, I have to do this because my doctor gave me the ultimatum. And at that point we go, awesome, let's do it. But one of the worst things we can do is start someone on a nutrition program whenever they're already overwhelmed, and 2 weeks later they go, this isn't for me. And then they get really shameful and guilty and they quit altogether, right? We've done that plenty and we've learned from it. So we don't talk about nutrition until the 6 to 9 week mark.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then at that point, they've built, they've gotten to know, like, and trust you more. There's some rapport there.
And the fitness is more or less a habit for them now, right?
Yeah,
they know,
right,
like, okay,
right.
I can do this. And they've been able to actually gauge their capacity. I was like, can I, do 2 hours of a meal prep on Sunday, or can I track my food throughout the week? Like, what can I do right now?
But obviously there's some special sauce here, because we know from some other interviews you've done that your nutrition programs make up a good chunk of your revenue, almost like 20%, which is definitely an outlier, I think, especially in these style gyms. Besides knowing when to introduce it, what else are you guys doing that is allowing you to grow this program and get buy-in?
Yeah. So again, very, very high touch human elements with coaching on it. I mean, we run it we have 2 packages that we do for our nutrition coaching, and it's basically our base nutrition coaching and then our platinum nutrition coaching. So base nutrition coaching is, once a week email check-ins with your coach, but you have unlimited, quote unquote, unlimited access to them via email. You can ask as many questions as you want. And then once you track your food in a really, really nice spreadsheet, take your photos, your measurements, all that fun stuff. We teach you basically how to track, why we're tracking, and then also understanding that, like, your life might be different. So this is not a one size fits all situation. We might drop the tracking altogether and just focus on habits. We might do pictures of plates rather than checking in. Like, we make sure that it stays very flexible for people. And then we ask for a 90-day commitment to start that, just because we know we need to see at least 3 months before we see really, really good progress. And then we just run it month to month after that, which is great. The platinum version is for people who want a little bit more accountability, a little bit higher touch points. They actually get once a week, weekly, or once a week video calls as well with our coaches. I think the secret sauce for our nutrition coaching program is that our coaches are really, really good, right? They are really, really good. They take the time to answer each points. They take the time to look at, okay, cool, to make the estimates, to make the understanding. They understand, and they've been through it, where you can't just say, like, all right, cool, no excuses, work harder, right? Like, they don't do that. They treat people as humans. And so the people on the other side of this are really seen. They know that that they're struggling, but they have a coach in their pocket, essentially, that is there to help them through it. So, I mean, I think we don't do anything crazy special compared to a lot of other people, but I see some of the client check-ins that people will get, and I'm like, that's not coaching. They said, everything looks great, keep it up, right? And while that's valid, that doesn't make me feel like you spent any time understanding me whatsoever. So our coaches do a phenomenal job of delivering that value. And so, I don't think our revenue numbers for nutrition, even in like the slowest of times, have ever dipped below $7,000 to $8,000 a month, right? It's really awesome.
And is this because this is a curriculum you've built for your coaches, or is it, are you hiring based off of this?
So my wife is the head of the nutrition program. She's queen of the carbs around here, and the prerequisite to be a coach with us is you have to go through at least a 3 to 6 month journey as a client, so that way you can really understand.
Right, you know what it feels like.
You know what it feels like, because a lot of very fit people, nutrition hasn't been a problem, right? It's just one of those things that we do, and that's great for you. And I don't think a lot of these coaches understand how lucky they are for that, right? Like, nutrition is deeply personal, and everyone's wired a bit differently around food based on culture, your upbringing, what your socioeconomic level was like what did you used to do with your family for food, what was comfort like there's so much nuance. And too many coaches just paint with a broad brush here of, the whole nobody cares, work harder, no excuses thing, whenever that's not true at all. Like, we care. Like, we care. And sometimes the best answer for your nutrition is to actually work a little less hard and take a little less pressure on yourself, and go from there. So making sure that people understand that this journey is difficult and it has its ups and downs, and understanding the nuance, the 30,000 foot view of everything, like, that's important. And so I would love to say we have a curriculum that we built, Mateo, but a lot of it has just been, we've worked with a ton of people over since 2017. And we've learned a lot by working with a ton of people.
Amazing. Hey, gym owners, are you looking for a way to generate more leads, close more sales, and increase client retention? Introducing Kilo. We are a software company that gives gym owners the tools they need to increase revenue and run a successful gym. With Kilo, you get a beautifully designed website to capture more leads, an integrated marketing automation platform to increase sales, and our gym management software, so you can add new client memberships, process payments, and organize your class schedule. If you're ready to upgrade your gym management software, book a call at usekilo.com. So switching back to kind of the onboarding as a whole, I know you've mentioned you have to really track, you have to be conscious up until that 90-day mark, and then also track retention after that, right? But what other metrics do you think people are missing, owners are missing during the onboarding process?
Attendance in general, right? I think a lot of people, they'll get them onboarded, and then they go, they're definitely going to continue to show up. And while we want that, like, real life is, we need to make sure that they're showing up those 3 days a week for their group fitness classes. We need to make sure, so like checking in, we have our CSMs basically check in daily on our 3-week on-rampers and our 6-week on-rampers to make sure that they're showing up. Because every day that goes by that they're not showing up, that's them getting that foot a little bit farther out the door to not renew later on. So attendance is really, really important. We also have a Slack thread where it's only dedicated to new members, right? So it's our client success Slack thread. And so we'll highlight that to all the coaches, be like, hey, Sally Mae is a new member here. Make sure you give her plenty of love during classes. So we sort of manufacture that, the feelings of, we're super glad you're here, by having the coaches, check in with them specifically during those classes. So whenever those on-rampers are in class, we really, really love on them a lot. So that way they know that they're going to continue to get that sort of service throughout their time here at Yellow Rose. So attendance is massively important.
So let's say, you're tracking attendance as a data point, and let's say something's off. Let's say, someone's supposed to be coming 3-4 times a week. They're only coming once, maybe twice. What do you guys do?
So we try to catch it as quick as possible. We'll set up their first 3 personal trainings. Let's use a 3-week on-ramper for instance. We set their first 3 personal training sessions, and on the 3rd personal training session, we will set their first class that they go to as well. Right. And so that class, our classes open up 48 hours ahead of time. Let's say this is a Friday and their class is going to be on a Tuesday. We'll just go ahead and reserve that class for them anyway. So that way they know, like, okay, I'm here, like, we're doing it. And then we make sure they show up to that Tuesday class. If they don't show up to that Tuesday class, hey, thought you were going to be at the Tuesday 9:30. Everything okay? Everything's good. You just forgot. Awesome. Like, what's tomorrow at 9:30 looking like? Like, we track that first class, and then we always track at the end of the week, because we have messed up in the past where we finish up their 3rd personal training session, and then we go to schedule their 4th personal training session, and they haven't been to class in 2 weeks. Well, they're not signing up, right? So getting that first class on the books is really, really important, making sure that they have a great experience in that first class. They see that it's not scary, that they're good to go, all those things.
So your onboarding is very similar to what we did in the gym, where it was like a 6-week program and had a mix of it was front loaded with PT, and then we like eased them into class. At the end, we checked in and we said, "Do you want to stick with PT? Do you want to keep going with group? Do you want to do a mix of both?" So it was a similar kind of philosophy. But I think something that we ran into, and I think other gyms struggle with, is the marketing piece, because it's not very clear what the offer is, and you are kind of like, you're not forcing them into one kind of thing, but it's
but you sort of are,
you sort of are.
If you want
right?
to join here, you need to do this.
You need to do this, right? And so versus, maybe a small group gym, a small group class gym, or even like, I don't know, just more of a boot camp type where the offer can be more straightforward. It's a 2-week trial. You can come right into class. There's no barbells. Don't worry about it. So how are you framing this in your marketing? And then how are you, like, let's say someone opts in, what are you pitching them on the phone?
So we're pitching them that we want this to be the last gym that they have to sign up at, right? Because a lot of people that come to us, they have, I've tried all these different gyms and just nothing seems to stick. And I go, awesome. Well, were you onboarded correctly? Like, I'll even ask that question. I'm like, were you onboarded correctly? And they go, I don't know what that means. What does onboarded correctly mean? Then I'll use this analogy almost all the time. Like I say, hey, Yellow Rose is basically like a freeway of fitness, right? You've got your right hand lane, your middle lane, your left lane. Like you can go, speeds that you want, and think about that as our different programs, our different offerings. But either way, you're going to get to your destination. Just might be a little faster, a little bit slower, a little bit whatever. But if you're going to get on this freeway, like I can't just drop you on the freeway and you expect to have success. You're going to be panicked. You're going to be stressed out. You're going to be trying to get to the shoulder to get your way off of this, so that way you're not freaking out because there's cars driving by 80 miles an hour. You have to do this on ramps. That way you can get up to speed and then make the decision on where you're going to go. I said, I promise you, if you've been to these other gyms and they just drop you into class without actually showing you like where the lockers are, like here's how you reserve in the app, let alone have a coach teach you the basics to make sure your form and foundations are really good, so that way you have the best experience possible. It's probably the reason why you haven't been successful at this. And then that gym also probably didn't try to keep you as accountable as we will either. So that's another huge factor. And they're like, oh yeah, that's true. I'm like, yep. So this is why we do it. And we will always have some, not always, but we have resistance to the on-ramp and the onboarding, usually from men who think they already know what they're doing,
Sure.
And so we'll offer them a test out session. We'll say, awesome, that sounds great. You know what you're doing. We'll do one personal training session. It's going to be, $75. And if it turns out that like we pass you, like you are good to go for classes, we'll do a real fast onboarding, and then we'll get you into your classes. Right. But usually once we do that test out session, unless they have significant experience at a good quality gym, they need to do the onboarding anyway.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we pitch it.
Yeah, no, I like that. You're basically, you're opening up a way for you to define it by saying like, oh, did you how, like just kind of assuming it's standard everywhere, assuming everyone should have it everywhere. And the fact that they didn't, it was like, oh, that's weird. That's weird. You didn't have that at your other gym, but yeah, that's probably a bad thing. Here's what it is.
Yeah. It establishes a little bit more credibility and authority and then I'll even take the heat. I'll go, look, I've been training for 17 years. I've messed up a lot of people by just throwing them into classes when they weren't ready. This allows us to get to know you a little bit better, to build a profile on you, to talk to our coaches about you. So that way, no matter what class you go to or what session you go to, you are going to have the best experience possible because we know you and you know you a little bit better as well, because everyone's going to respond differently in that first class.
Totally. Makes a lot of sense.
I should say as well, part of our intro, right? Our no sweat intro, part of our intro is we have a questionnaire where we sort of lead them into these things, right? Like, have you ever worked with a barbell before? Have you worked one-on-one with a barbell before? Are you, how comfortable are you on a scale from 1 to 10 with a barbell? Like, we have plenty of questions that we ask folks that way we can say at the end of that, we go, okay, so based on what I'm seeing here, I think the best recommendation is going to be our 6-week program, because you are on this end of the spectrum for barbell work and fitness in general. This is going to be our better program. Or if someone says, no, I used to do power cleans in high school football and all this, yada, yada, then we can say, okay, awesome. Sounds like, it's been 5 or 6 years since you've worked out, but you are more or less familiar with that back in the day. Let's just do the 3-week on-ramps, that way we can get you into classes and get you moving. And then they go, sounds great. Like everyone appreciates the attention to form and detail. And I have found that there have been far fewer people that resist that than go, nope, that's a good idea. That's what I want to do.
Makes sense. So we've talked a lot about how to build a great onboarding program. What are some mistakes you think gym owners are making, or what's something not to do during your onboarding program?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see gyms still do is they have such a low entry offer. Still seeing a lot of people, your first 2 weeks is only $19. Okay, by that logic, your gym is $38 a month.
Right.
Right. So you can't hit them with 2 weeks for $19 and then expect them to pay $165 a month. Right. It doesn't make any sense.
You also can't pay your coaches what they need to be paid in order to provide the level of onboarding service you want them to provide with all these touch points and just the quality of experience.
Exactly. I mean, if we're not going to check in and get touch points with you until we've, had our front end revenue come in. So that way we know what we can spend on it. Essentially, if I'm doing 2 weeks for $19, I mean, that's, if I wanted to do the math on that from what we actually do, that's what 2 text messages, like that. People need more than that. And I think another one of the things that I see gym owners do is they're just afraid to charge what they need to charge. They're afraid to charge what they need to charge because they don't think that people would pay for it because they wouldn't pay for it. I would never pay for personal training with me, but plenty of other people do. So that's fine. Like we can get out of our own personal biases and actually see that people out there have enough money to pay for your services, and you will attract the better clients the higher your tickets are.
So you said you've been in the game for 9 years. How has your gym and how have your systems evolved and changed over time? And specifically, how has your onboarding process evolved?
Yeah. So, I mean, from 2016 to 2021, all of the systems were right up here.
Yeah.
All the systems were in my head. Everything was, I basically did it all. Besides, my wife helped me with, the schedule, the payroll, those sort of systems. And she had those systems on lock because she's a lot smarter than I am. But, after we decided that, okay, we really need to grow this team, the systems evolved from, okay, cool, I'm going to stop just hoping that I get this right. And I'm going to stop hoping that I remember this. And I'm going to actually put reminders in my calendars. I'm going to, once I do it, write it down in a Google Docs. That way I know how to do it. So that way I can train someone else how to do it. So the systems went from, as simple as like how to just open the gym correctly and like how to clean a toilet. Like our systems now are vast. And, we've got an SOP for everything. We built a Google site that our coaches have on their phone. So if they go, wait a minute, what is the lockbox code? Instead of having to frantically text someone to figure it out, they can pop that up there, search lockbox, boom, they have that. So it just allowed us to not be there all the time and to know that things were still being done. So the systems changed from basically like putting your hand outside to take the temperature to no, this is the actual temperature readout and this is how we're going to do things. Got a lot more scientific on stuff.
What about automation? Did anything change there over time?
I mean, it had to, right? Automation, if you are continuing to do the same things you were doing in 2016, like you are behind and you have lost out on growth. I mean, automation has just helped tremendously. Most of the time I use automation just as reminders for me to do stuff, but I've had to put a lot more trust into automation and know that like I'm a human, I'm going to forget things often, but my automations are going to work 99% of the time. And if my automated messages are going out to people, even if they aren't as, endearing as a text message from my personal number, it's still people getting that touch point and it's still good.
Well, we're getting close to the end of the road here. I guess to close things out, Clark, what if there's one thing a gym owner could do this week to improve their onboarding process? What do you think they could do?
I think they could structure their check-ins with the folks. They could actually define their onboarding, because a lot of onboarding is like, well, yeah, we just kind of throw them in there and see what happens, but actually have something defined, right? I think a great starting point for people is 3 personal training sessions plus 2 weeks of classes. I think it's phenomenal. And all you do to find out that price point is 3 personal training sessions plus what is half your month's revenue. Find a nice round number around there. Boom, there you go. Or not revenue, half your month's dues, and then that's a great on-ramp package. I think for our on-ramp package, the actual number comes out to like $372, but we just upped that to $399 because it felt better from a consumer standpoint. And there it is. We don't have people balk at it too much, but we do have some people balk at it, which is good. A lot of, I used to be very, very proud of my 100% close rate on onboarding, and a mentor of mine said, "Oh, well, that means you're not charging enough because
Right.
you're not getting people to say no." It's like, oh, okay. So now our close rate is more around 60 to 70%, but without the volume of that, we're still making more revenue. So that's always fantastic as well. So owners need to define their onboarding and stick to it.
What is it? A plan is better than no plan at all, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something
a
like
bad
that.
plan is better than no plan.
Something like that. But if you're trying to wing it every day or do an on-ramp based on the person sitting in front of you, like, it's never going to scale. Now my team does all of our sales. My team decides if this person's a 3 or 6 week, or they just leave me out of the equation, which is better for everyone. And we continue to sign up new on-rampers each week.
Well, what's next for you?
What's next? We are going to continue to do what we're doing, right? Like, I went through a phase of like, what is next? Should I try this? Should I try this? And I'm realizing more and more that the gym is the golden goose, and I don't want to kill the golden goose. So we are going to double down on investing in our team, so that way they can continue to help grow our business, give them more ownership in parts of the business. And then we did just sign a third lease. So we have basically 2 units right now that are next door to each other. One's for group fitness and one's for personal training and semi-private training. And then we signed a third unit just down the business park. And that's going to be a content studio where we can scale up our content production. So that way we can become, the de facto authorities in our neighborhood as far as like, hey, if you need some place to train, this is the place to do it, because look at all this media that they are producing, and it's high quality and it's good and it's geared towards real life people in our neighborhood.
And if people want to follow you along on this journey of taking over Houston, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Clark Hibbs, all one word. And then you can follow my gym, Yellow Rose Fitness, at Yellow Rose Fit. And if you want to email me and ask me about any systems, or if something sounded interesting to you and you wanted to pick my brain about it, Clark at yellowrosefitness.com.
Wow. The email.
Do it.
Rare in these parts, but it's okay. It's great.
Feel free.
Yeah.
It's a
Take
delayed
advantage.
response. It's a delayed response, but it'll get there when it gets there.
And you, dear listener, dear gym owner, if you want to follow us on our journey through the gym world, give us a like, give us a subscribe, comment on what you want to hear and learn about next, and share this episode with a gym owner in need if you found some value in it, and if you think they might find some value in it. Also, if you need some help with your automations, if you need help with your SOPs, with your onboarding process and smoothing things out and making things easier on yourself and making more money and closing more leads, check out Kilo. At Kilo, you can get yourself a nice website, helps you capture leads, get them into your pipeline. You can get our Gym Lead Machine product, which helps you with your automations, helps you with those touch points, helps alert your staff that they gotta text that new client. And then you can get our gym management software as well. So you can put people in your system, get them booked for class, and get them scheduled. And you can ask Clark all about it when you email him too.
I mean, we started with Kilo in 2021, and the first 2 months, I had gotten more leads in 2 months than I had the previous year. Whenever I was with a different website, and then we really fully went all in with the automations with Gym Lead Machine and Kilo. And I mean, we consistently get your overage on our text messages every month, twice a month, really. But that's because we're just ripping it up every chance we get, checking in with as many people all the time, and it is. You'll make that investment back tenfold in the first 2 to 3 months. I guarantee it.
Well, wish we started the episode that way, but it's okay. We got there at the end. No, I'm
My
just
bad.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking around. It's great. Yeah. Thanks for that, Clark. We did
Of
not pay
course.
him to say that. He just felt like it, and
I-
that's
It's
all I can say about
I
that.
can't recommend y'all enough to everyone. That's for sure.
Well, with that, gym owner, we love you. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.